Well, good day and welcome to episode 18 of The Driving Force presented by the Louisiana Transportation Research Center. My name is Todd Blunt and I'm joined today by my friend, colleague, and co-host, Garrett Wheat.
Good afternoon.
We're thrilled that you've chosen to join us here as we highlight the people and projects driving change in Louisiana transportation. For the past 39 years, LTRC has merged the resources of state government and Louisiana universities to identify, develop, and implement new technology to enhance our state's transportation system and beyond. One of the major areas of research here at LTRC is transportation safety, and we partner closely with the Highway Safety Section at DOTD headquarters in an ongoing effort to make Louisiana's roads safer for everyone. So to learn how that critically important work happens on a day-to-day basis, we're thrilled to kick off a new three-part series today with our friends at Highway Safety. Over this episode, as well as our next two, we'll take a closer look at this from several different angles, starting today with a section overview and a deeper dive into the Strategic Highway Safety Plan. We're privileged to have two guests here with us today, Highway Safety Administrator Adriane McRae and SHSP Program Manager Autumn Goodfellow-Thompson. We'll take a quick break before we begin our conversation with Adriane and Autumn. Welcome back to The Driving Force. As we mentioned before the break, we're kicking off a new series today focused on highway safety. We have Adriane McRae and Autumn Goodfellow-Thompson joining us today to get that conversation started. Welcome, y'all.
Thanks for having us.
Well, why don't each of you begin by introducing yourselves and telling our listeners a little bit about your background and how you made your way into your current roles in highway safety. Adriane, why don't you kick us off?
Again, my name's Adriane McRae. I'm a civil engineer by trade. I went to LSU right down the road. Graduated the year 2000. Worked in the private sector for a little bit, working on various types of projects, transportation focused, geometric design, road design, NEPA, environmental planning, the whole gambit. Worked on a lot of good projects with DOTD as the main client of mine at the time in the private sector. And I was lucky enough to work on a big project for the Highway Safety Section at DOTD about 10 years ago, and I really enjoyed it. And a position came up, and I gravitated to it. I always wanted to do something a little more service-oriented, not necessarily driven on profit only. So I moved over to the public sector in that way. I always fell in love with the mission, the goal of, working on improving people's lives. Yeah. And every day, that's what I do. So I love it.
Awesome. How about you, Autumn?
Prior to joining DOTD almost 14 years ago, I received my Master's in Business Administration, Bachelor's in Criminal Justice, and a minor in Computer Science. I served in many capacities as a consultant, mostly for Hurricane Katrina, Rita, Gustav, and Ike, the recovery efforts, whether it was hazard mitigation, FEMA trailer maintenance. So transitioning to DOTD, it was a very different role, but also just as rewarding as my previous role, which was to serve the citizens of Louisiana.
And you started straight in highway safety?
Yes, I've been in the same section. I've been promoted a few times, but same section. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Probably as much as any section in the entire department, the work that y'all do on a day-to-day basis is touching the lives of every Louisianian and everyone traveling through the state on our roadways. So it's an incredibly important thing. We're excited to learn more about it.
Adriane, could you give us an overview of the overall mission and scope of the Highway Safety Section? Todd just mentioned safety is a pretty broad umbrella, touches a lot of people. So what are some major projects and processes you and your team do to pursue your goals?
Okay, that's a big one. You'll have to hold me back here, Garrett. So the big thing is, what does safety mean, and what does safety mean to our section, highway safety? So highway safety, someone says highway safety, traffic safety, roadway safety, that is eliminating fatalities and serious injuries. That's what that is talking about. So that's what we do day in, day out, trying to prioritize some federal funds that we get through the Highway Safety Improvement Program. We administer that in our section. And allocate that to the highest priority locations across the whole state of Louisiana, all public roads. So that could be locally owned road or state-owned road in any form or fashion. So it can be infrastructure focused. We do a lot of those. That's kind of our bread and butter. So That's signing and striping, intersection improvements, upgrading signals. That could be adding rumble strips. That could be widening for a shoulder. It could be changing access management, reducing conflicts in any way, form, or fashion, and offer for all road users too as well. And we do these either statewide. Big push. We'll do a statewide type of project. Cable barriers is a good example of that one. We did that kind of statewide on all the interstates, all controlled access, where our median was a certain width. That was kind of more systematic type project, all the way down to project very focused level. Just one intersection. We really need to do this. We don't have another program to cover that, and we have some crashes there. We want to mitigate those. So the whole gamut, really, honestly, it's the idea is to prevent and be more proactive to prevent future crashes.
And without stealing too much thunder from other episodes we may have, how do you decide where and what gets what kind of infrastructure upgrade?
So we're very data driven. So everything is tied back to people, vehicles, on the roadway system, and historically what has happened and what we could project to happen in the future.
Okay.
And everything has progressed quite a bit since I graduated in 2000 as far as statistics. Now with the AI world coming around, it's kind of an exciting world to be in right now with the safety part of it, because it is trying to prioritize, we don't want to go install something if we don't think it's really going to help anybody, because then it's going to be a nuisance in the future. So anyway, so it's trying to just make very strategic decisions. The hardest part and the biggest challenge dealing with the data part is knowing that it's actually people that are behind each of these data points. So that's something, me and my staff, we deal with every day, but it's something we sometimes lose sight of because we're all data geeks and we're all ready to, get dirty with all the data and figure out the best way to optimize this or that or whatever, but realizing that it was someone's family member, who really was in this crash, and we're trying to maybe make better informed decisions as we move ahead to reduce that in the future.
Well, following up on that, what are some of the major trends in highway safety in Louisiana and in the U.S. over the past 5 to 10 years? Where are things improving? Where are some of the greatest challenges that you're looking to address right now?
So that's a very good question. Again, with all the data available at our fingertips, that's usually the biggest question we get. And that's part of the Strategic Highway Safety Plan. And the whole purpose of the Strategic Highway Safety Plan is to pull the data across all the states. All the states are required to have it. So it's trying to figure out what are your biggest issues. In Louisiana, infrastructure-wise, it's roadway departure. We have about 40 to 50% of our fatalities are roadway departure. Someone either leaving the lane or leaving the roadway. Intersections, about 20-25%, depending on the year, and then non-motorized users. Those have been increasing. Those are probably more in the 20 to 25% range as well. So, so that's where we try to focus our infrastructure. Over the years, I would say some of those splits are very similar. But with the technologies, with the vehicles, like that's starting, you can see there's improvements there, but as well, but at the same time, we've had safety features added to the vehicles, but we've also added distractions inside the vehicles, right?
Yeah.
Like I just bought a car recently, and it's very distracting for me, and I'm the highway safety administrator, I'm like, what? I gotta turn everything off. So anyway, so it's trying to use those as tools, but not make it worse. So we have seen, definitely improvements. More people wearing their seatbelt. We still have that 15% of our population that just will not wear their seatbelt, and we don't quite understand why. But that's way better than it was 50%, right, when we first got our seatbelt law. So, so it's a huge improvement. Easy wins right off the bat, but we still have a lot of gains to make. And then with the distractions that we still have in the vehicle, and then we don't have really good data for that. That's really tough to wrangle.
Well, things are changing so quickly, I imagine it's hard to...
Yes, it is. And then privacy issues. So it's a lot of trying to use features that are out there like AI or other things or other data sets, not necessarily just crash data. And so that's kind of the exciting time, is trying to integrate more data sets to each other, not just the crash data.
Autumn, turning our attention specifically to the SHSP, can you tell us or our listeners what it is, how it came to be, how it affects the department as a whole, And who are the partners across the state or the U.S. that you work with to implement it?
Sure. So the Strategic Highway Safety Plan, or SHSP, was established to address the significant human and economic cost of traffic crashes. It started under the Highway Safety Improvement Plan. It was included in the most recent transportation bills, Safety Lou, MAP 21, and the FAST Act, which provides funding for transportation across the United States. These bills require the state develop an SHSP, implement it, evaluate it, and update it. As Adriane mentioned, it's a data-driven approach, and it focuses on the state's most severe traffic safety problems and identifies strategies and tactics with the greatest potential of reducing crash severity. As far as how it affects the department, Adriane kind of already mentioned some of this, but the SHSP directs how the state DOTs allocate resources and funding when it comes to safety improvements. It provides a framework for reducing fatalities and serious injuries on all public roadways. And DOTs takes it a step further, fully committed to the SHSP by funding 9 regional safety coalitions throughout the state. As far as our key partners, the owners of the SHSP are DOTD, and we're the lead agency, Louisiana State Police, and Louisiana Highway Safety Commission. However, it goes far beyond these 3 agencies. We have multiple organizations across the state. It includes law enforcement agencies, emergency services, fire, hospitals, education, community organizations, and so much more. So it's not just the owners that are doing all this work.
Yeah.
How often does the plan have to be refreshed or updated? Is that something that's done on a set basis?
Yes, every 5 years. In fact, we are due for an update come 2027, so we will begin that process later this year.
Okay. Well, one of the phrases we see and hear often, I know I saw it a lot in doing some research for this episode, is Destination Zero Deaths, or DZD. Tell us more about where this concept comes from and kind of how it motivates the work you and your team do.
Louisiana Destination Zero Deaths initiative is an offset of the National Toward Zero Deaths approach, which is a statewide initiative to reduce fatalities and serious injuries. A key aspect of our approach was the adoption of our regional strategy, which is the 9 regional safety coalitions. They are tasked with implementing the Strategic Highway Safety Plan at the regional level. And again, DOTD funds 9 regional safety coalitions across the state. As far as motivation goes, I would say a lot of it just comes from being a part of the solution to something much bigger. Witnessing countermeasures that are being implemented and seeing progress being made, lives being saved. We're working to create a culture of safety, which isn't easy. And I would say our regional approach is highly motivating because it gives stakeholders and residents within their own region a platform to voice their concerns and to be a part of solving those safety concerns.
With these coalitions, one thing that we're able to kind of push a little bit further at our DOT is a safe system approach, right? This is something that, Europe has been doing for years, and of course all their numbers are coming down, and it's improving the quality of life for all their communities. So here in the U.S., that's something that FHWA is trying to get more educational materials on. Engineers like myself, we were trained up to be engineers and do only what engineers are made to do, which is keep people on the road and do the concrete and the asphalt and the striping and the signing perfect all the time. But realize that our road users are not perfect, right? They're humans and they make mistakes. And so as engineers, we need to kind of be able to lean into that and figure out where maybe they would make a mistake most likely in this position, in this location of this road, they might do this more likely, or this road, they might do something completely different. The context of the road has a lot to do with how people behave and drive and walk or bike. So that's something that is definitely on our minds of trying to educate people, bring all those partners there at the table. That's not just engineers making these decisions. This is engineers trying to get information from law enforcement, from the schools, from the communities, from the hospitals, right? The hospitals know the injuries way better than we do. So they know what they're dealing with at the ERs and everywhere else, people coming in. So it's that safe system approach. How do we make our road users safer, our vehicles safer, speeds, it's all physics, right? It goes back down to the speeds. Safer roads, that's the engineering part. And then that post-crash care. We're a rural state. How do we make sure that we can get people from the scene of the crash to the facility they need to be at in a timely fashion, so that way they can get what they need done in a timely fashion. So that's where we're trying to just be a little more proactive, and that's kind of that bigger. I just keep pressing on. We've done concrete and rumbles great for years. Okay, great. Let's keep going with that, but let's do some new connections and let's make some better improvements and better decisions on other things.
Diving a little bit further into the SHSP, Autumn, can you tell us what are some key areas y'all focus on when you're pursuing Destination Zero Deaths?
Our most severe traffic safety problems are related to impaired driving, not buckling up, distracted driving, infrastructure and operation related. I think we can make, and we are making a great impact by raising public awareness. Education, starting early, I think is key, and collaboration and partnerships, bringing multiple agencies, stakeholders to the table, and coming up with solutions and talking through those is pretty important. Also, something that we are excited about and should definitely make an impact is we will be updating our SHSP later this year. We will start that process, and we have to complete that process by August of 2027. We'll be shifting from a conventional safety approach to a safe systems approach, which is a holistic strategy focused on eliminating fatal and serious injuries by acknowledging that humans make errors and systems need to be designed to account for those errors and vulnerabilities. So stay tuned for Louisiana's 2027 SHSP update.
All right. This last question is for both of you. And I'm going to take a point of personal privilege. I'm going to change the wording of this question a little bit. So my oldest daughter will be getting her license within the next 6 months. So for all the other road users out there who are going to be on the road with her, what is one practical thing our listeners can do today to make a positive contribution to highway safety in Louisiana?
First of all, as a parent and a road user, just be patient, right? I think a lot of times, it goes back to physics, right? Speed, distractions, those are our biggest issues. And when those are mixed together, it's a bad combination, right? So, and that's all road users. We need to be patient with each other. We need to be accountable for ourselves and for other people. And these are our community, right? So someone else on the roadway, that's someone in our community, and we need to make sure they're protected just as well as we are. Definitely always buckle up. Make sure your daughter always buckles up. Make sure she puts the phone down. There are laws for graduated driver's license here in Louisiana, so that's a good thing as a parent. So make sure you're actively engaged in that process. As painful as it may be, it's very important for you to set an example for her and so that she can see what it means to be fully engaged in this driving procedure, right? And we compare it to anything else, any other machinery that anyone else would be operating, we would take it so serious and to get certifications. And we have that process. It's a driver's license, and we need to take that as fully serious as possible, because it's a serious deal. I mean, it's a big machine, and it will kill someone who's not paying attention and is not protected. So,
You're absolutely right. I think it's one of the things, the more often we do it, the less, or the more comfortable we feel.
Exactly.
And we let our guard down.
Yeah, it's human nature, right? Yeah. We're going to do what we're comfortable doing. And then we are kind of like in that bubble, right? When we're in our car. We got the air conditioning, the music, and everything else. It's like our little extension of our house, and so we get a little comfortable there. But just know that it is something that needs some seriousness, and it's best to teach our young drivers that as they come, and that's how we're going to change the culture over time, I think. And policymakers also inform your representatives and your senators what's important to you and your community and your children.
So join your regional safety coalition. That's one thing that you can do. You'll always remain educated on traffic safety. Don't drive impaired. Buckle up. I mean, how easy is that? Adopt responsible driving policies for companies, government agencies. That's one of the strategies that the coalitions have been working on for the last several years. And put the phone away. These are very easy things to do and could, prevent.
And it's free.
It's free, yes.
So much good stuff. Thank you, Adriane and Autumn, for being here with us today, for everything that you're doing to keep Louisiana on the leading edge of this. Again, it would be hard for us to overstate the everyday impact of the work you're doing. So obviously this is a serious topic, but before we go, we want to have a little bit of fun with you with a few final lightning round questions as well. Garrett's going to ask these. Don't think too hard. We just want to help our listeners get to know you a little bit better.
So I have 2 questions for each of y'all. Adriane, we'll start with you.
All right.
You're obviously a very skilled and successful female engineer. I think that's can't be argued. So what would you tell a young girl who is considering a career in engineering or a related STEM field? Potentially, if you were in the classroom with some of the students of the teachers you worked with when you came and spoke at the AASHTO Trek and Rods, AASHTO
STEM Outreach Solutions. Kind of a mouthful.
Okay, that's a long question, Garrett.
It's a quick,
Okay, lightning round. Let's see how I can be quick with that. Definitely keep in mind that no 2 people are the same, right, across the whole universe. And so women engineers are a little bit different than male engineers. So it's okay to be different, I think. And I think that's what has helped me come into my own roles and make my own roles, is that I've figured out what's important to me, what I think should be important to our group as we try to achieve what we're trying to achieve, and stick to that. And you don't have to be anyone else, and you don't have to do it like everyone else did it, and you can do it your own way.
Love it. Okay, next question. What are some of you and your family's favorite lazy day hobbies or pastimes?
Oh, goodness. So I'm the only female in my house as well. So most of the time it's either hanging outside, watching someone else doing something, whether that's actively engaged in a sport, golf, basketball, baseball, that sort of thing. My family's probably more outdoorsy than I am, so I like to just sit and watch. So that's probably my laziness, is watching them do something. How about that?
That works.
I love it.
All right, Autumn, we understand you are a Michigan native.
Oh, yes.
Yeah? So Michigan and Louisiana are pretty different places. What has surprised you the most, good or bad, when you first came to Louisiana?
The weather, the heat. I tell my husband all the time, my body is not equipped to handle this type of weather. I'm a Michigan girl, can't handle it. So I would say that's, especially right now, today, that's what's standing out most to me.
That's fair.
How much were you making fun of all of us Southerners when we had the snow back in January?
Well, that was a pretty good snow. I mean, based on when it happened, I think a couple years ago, that was. The one prior to that, I was making fun of people, but not this last go around. It was a pretty good accumulation.
It's fairly legitimate.
So, yes, I was very excited about that.
Awesome. You also have a background in competitive gymnastics. So
Wow. Who have you been talking to?
Could you maybe tell us a little bit about that, or your best or favorite event to compete in?
So I not only did gymnastics, I also did acro gymnastics.
Oh, wow.
And that sport, usually when people ask me, I tell them just to Google it because it's kind of hard to explain. It's with partners, and you do flips off of them. You're not using a beam or a vault or the bars. And it's dance routines. So I would say that was my favorite out of both gymnastics and acro. I still think you should Google it, though.
Okay. All right. That's your homework, listeners. Well, thanks again, y'all, for your time, for everything you shared with us today. It's an honor to have you here as our guest, telling us more about what you do and why it matters. We're going to step away one more time before we wrap up today's episode. Well, that's a wrap on episode 18 of The Driving Force, presented by the Louisiana Transportation Research Center. You can learn more about what's happening at LTRC on a daily basis by visiting us online at ltrc.lsu.edu or on social media through Facebook, X, LinkedIn, and YouTube. As always, we encourage you to like, follow, and subscribe to our channels on each of these platforms. You can also get more information about some of the things we've talked about today, about the Strategic Highway Safety Plan and Destination Zero Deaths by visiting the Highway Safety website for the plan and destinationzerodeaths.com for more information on that initiative. We'll link to both of those in the show notes as well. Well, we hope you'll be back with us again for our next episode as we continue our series with DOTD's Highway Safety Group. Next time, we'll welcome Laura Riggs as we zero in on Louisiana's Highway Safety Improvement Program. Until then, we're your hosts, Garrett Wheat and Todd Blunt. We thank you so much again for joining us today. We say this as we close every episode, but it's even more appropriate today. Drive safely out there.